Dear God, if I just start reading One Piece right now, I'd have to explain. And we're not gonna read One Piece to start. It's too much. It is a thing I have lived in, and yeah. Let's see here. It's too many damn series. Oh, I'm so nervous. It's embarrassing to do this live. Oh, God. Um. Hmm. Thank you. I'm gonna show the screen right now so you can see all the different options. So One Piece is one I regularly read and catch up on. Um, Blue Box is one, but I think I accidentally read too far into this and not leave any chapters for myself. This is okay. So this chapter I did read. Can I skip? This is 16. No, I definitely read 17, so I think it's just the most recent one. Um, yeah, I might just read this to start, and I'll give a quick little intro to where it is. Uh, so this is a sports romance story. Um, the main character plays badminton and has either a childhood crush, I think it's a childhood crush, or a crush on another student who's like 2 years his senior, and she plays basketball. And uh, he won like his. Honestly, let me just skip around a little bit. His well, a few things pulled me into this. First of all, I like badminton. Uh, it's oddly a family sport that I don't play, but I think it's cool. Um, and so I think it's fun to do a little badminton series. And so this is our little intro here. Is oh, he gets hit in the face. That's great. So this is the basketball um, like lead player. Oh, this is the flashback. And yeah, so he like gets a crush on this girl, um, and she plays basketball. He plays badminton, and like his interest in her is honestly like her passion and like her drive for sports, and he thinks it's really cool, and she's really like kind, friendly individual. Um, and it's it's manga. You gotta have some fun little situations and all that, and eventually, uh, oh man, this is embarrassing. I'd sure love to marry her. Is a thing I would say if I was in middle school and dumb. Um, but yeah, he's just really cares about her as like an athlete, which I think is any amount of not just physical attraction in comics is an ideal. Um, and her family is like leaving, is moving away, but it's her final year of school, and so what's gonna she's all sad she can't play anymore, and turns out that like her parents and his parents are like uh, her parents, his parents are old friends, and so she moves in with him. There's your little bit, you're like, oh my gosh, the conflict of that, and nothing too wild has happened there, but it's just kind of this like extra pressure on now you have to interact with this person you like, who you have kind of been on the sidelines, so to speak. Yeah, no, it's let me see if I can find like where's a good page about just um yeah, so like this is our like page about her. Uh he shows up early for badminton practices so he can see her because she shows up early to play basketball. And then she's always the one like there last, and that's his like drive. Is like she's so driven to play her sport, it's inspiring to her or inspiring to him. So I mean, this is great. This is fantastic. Um, and she offers some candy once. Like what's not to love? Uh, there's also this character. What's her name? Hina? Chono? And she is a rhythmic gymnastics, which I like kind of baton and stuff like that. Um, who's also like a friend of his, and then he's got another friend, and so that's what the story has been so far. Is trying to get through the school year. I mean, look at this. She wraps a scarf around it. Like it's just cute, and the art is just impeccable. Um, I mean, something about this reminds me of a Nui Willard helping put on a tie. It's so pure. Um, so yeah, so there's been a few chapters, and they've went on a pseudo date, kind of, and um, yada 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 yada. The most recent arc story setup is uh, the rhythmic gymnastics friend who's been teasing him, knows he has a crush on her, um, goes to like give her phone after a practice and follows her, and finds out that like, oh no, like finds out that she's went to his place and she's confused by this, right? It's all a little bit weird, and it's like, this is odd, and she's now realizing, oh no, she likes him. So you get some love triangle stuff, and we get like a really good like 3 chapters, all from kind of her point of view. Um, she starts like messing up her routine. I love this actually, is like she's got hyper confidence, and everyone's like cheering her on, and as soon as she walks away, she's like, I messed up. Like it's this very very good internalized emotions for someone, where we see the performance, and it looks right, like it looks great. She's doing good stuff. You got this, clearly it looks good, and you go off everyone's reactions, and the reactions are all well done, amazing, and then she walks away, and of course it's like, I'm off my game, um, and so it just has a few chapters about trying to get back into that, um, and it was just emotions. It was sad. Uh, and then what was the next chapter? I think one more chapter about her being like, why do I feel this way? What am I supposed to do? Um, she starts making some very noticeable uh, poor elements to her craft. Um, oh, right. She gets injured. Did I finish this chapter? Yeah, she like trips, and there's a moment where you think she breaks her ankle, and I was about to be very upset. But I think she's fine. I think she just injured herself slightly. Um, and then he helps like walk her away, and uh, you can read through the blur. I don't want to notice these feelings. It's great. So yeah, so little love triangle. Honestly, like as much as the basketball Chinatsu is her name, assuming I'm saying that right. As much as her, uh, she was like, I think just like great OTP. They're so cute together. That's great. This has developed really well in a way that I'm like, shoot, like this is also a good ship. So we're gonna read a new chapter. I haven't read this yet, and so I will not read this out loud. That is, I'm not gonna do that. Um, this is free to read. The 3 most latest chapters are always free to read. So as long as you're reading this before, my calendar's off, middle of September, you have 3 weeks to read this before it disappears for free. Otherwise, you can get a subscription for like $2, $3. Super manageable, if you ask me, and then kind of follow along. So I'm just gonna roll through this, and as I have reactions and thoughts and things, I'm gonna talk about them. Didn't chat about this before, but we've got some good humor to this too. Um, her leg's fine, and he just they've got kind of antagonistic relationship, so it's a little drama queen in there. She opens up a bit, and this is a fun little page turn. We have him playing doctor for a moment, and the actual doctor being like, "Yo, what's up?" But yeah, there's been some good little humor here and there, which I think is pretty typical for any manga this age, but especially like a sports one or a romance one is going to have some of these good little jokes. Oh, you can hear my disc. Mute those. Oh gosh, where's the like general mute? I wish I could just. All right, mute one server. If anyone else go off, then I'm in trouble. God damn it! It's not a chat now. It's your fault. You set notifications. Um, I was talking with some friends recently about like intimacy in comics and all the different ways you show that. Um, and I think a lot of it is very much like stage language, body language. Like if you look at this scene down here, right? They're close, but it's pretty restricted in a lot of ways. Um, and I think you look at I honestly love when any comic does this, but um, putting a gutter in between two things, like just it holds space in a really interesting way. Um, gutter is time, panel is time, and so you're just kind of distancing them. And this, which I'm just now seeing, uh, her. Okay, so we've got this little moment. They're talking, walking the hallway. By freezing her here with no speech, there's a pause, there's a beat for her, and she does say his name, indicated by the backwards tail pointing towards her, but it's in this panel, so like she's not talking here. Um, Honestly, creates like three. It feels like almost three moments. There's like the beat, there's her saying it, and there's him hearing it. You kind of get that a little bit slower. I just really like that. And then uh, transferring to the art of this panel where she's center frame and he's kind of off to the side. And they're again physically closer than they have been, even though they're still like 6 feet away or however far. But the distance between the art is really close with the perspective. I like that's nice. Um, but still, there's definitely a very clear distance here. I'll be curious to kind of follow that as we go along. Uh, and then there's just a great little page turn. Um, I really like that. One thing that's interesting, as much as this is a sports story, a lot of the sports is off panel. Um, so she was talking about going to her qualifying match, and literally in this page here, they just wrap it up and say like, "Good job." Um, we know there's some time change just because we get some location, although time changes may be relative. But uh, I wouldn't mind seeing more sports, but it's very clearly like the relationships are the forefront here, so that's where the time is being spent. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and reread something. Chinatsu and Chono both had a scene 2 chapters ago, and she kind of asks like, what are you doing in his house, and he explains the whole situation. And now I totally uh, kind of forget what they talked about because this is just a little reflection on that. But let's talk quickly about physicality, physical distance again. Um, so back at home, we've got physical space, but it's also kind of a pause. He's like on the stairs. He's stopped walking, which I think is really kind of a clear sort of thing. They have a conversation. Like we know one thing you'll see in comics, and sometimes like it can get a little bit extreme, is like how much is someone talking in a single space. But since it's two people standing, they could have a whole conversation there, and you get to kind of like dictate like you know the time it takes you to read this. Is that roughly the time of the conversation? Um, so it's very interesting that he's pausing here. He's like taking a moment of hesitation to have this conversation, and then there's this great panel where they cross each other. So there's this physical closeness, but one, they're looking away. Two, we've got just the natural dividing line of what looks to be a wall in the background. And then we actually flip. I think we break the 90 degree, 80 degree rule here. It works, I think, because we very clearly have a setup of what the structure is. We know where they're standing, and so in order for them to be in the flip, it's not like he walked back 2 steps. Um, there's just enough distinguishing features. Really, honestly, 180 rule. Thank you. Kind of insane that it does that so well. Um, Arguably, we're still on one side of this line. We're not seeing her from behind. Hard to say. They turn around, so it's trippy. Um, but again, this like physical closeness. I don't know. It's something I talked about. I don't know if it's actually being done. Oh no, my Zoom is broken. There we go. I don't know if it's being done effectively well, or at least the way I was talking about it. But I think there's a very clear purpose in how you're staging them. Um, yeah, and I just well, here's a thing I'll talk about briefly too. Um, One thing comics can do better than prose um, is you can shift point of view really, really easily. In a if you're reading a book with multiple characters, multiple point of view, you usually need a pretty big break. And whether that is a chapter header or a little pound sign or whatever to kind of get you through, we're shifting who we're following. Um, but visual mediums, movies, comics, theater, all that I think has a lot easier to do that. And so, I mean, if we track this from the start, Uh, we've got outdoors, so we're sitting at the scene, and we've got a first-person view from Shonen's perspective. That transitions us to this panel where we have kind of we're seeing her perspective, and then you follow a little bit of the line, and we see him watching. So now it's her, but it's his point of view. Um, go back to him. He's still watching. They're talking to one another. Um, this like is, I'd say this is point of view. She's looking right at him, eye to eye. Um, she walks away. He's watching, and then he's looking off panel here. His friend, whose name I don't know, and then we go into the friend's thoughts. So we've now had three people in effectively one scene. Friend's thoughts transition us over to just this is if you're not reading this, it's just his thoughts here. She's not. Oh, I guess his eyeline changes, so he turns to watch her, also probably in the same court, perhaps. Um, and then we have a break. We're in a new scene effectively, but we're still kind of carrying this this question: what's Janatsu going to do? Knowing that there's a shift in their dynamic, brings us into this new scene. So this is what's on our mind. We're following his point of view here. Um, up the stairs. It's a conversation between both of them. Kind of a third person omniscient a little bit here. We don't really have anyone's thoughts too much. Uh, and this is interesting because it's dead on. It's looking at the reader, but I think we've transitioned to hers because we know he's not seeing this. His eyes are closed, looking away, and so there's this. She has a reaction to what he says, and because we get such a close sense of reaction, it's like again we switch point of view. Still maybe third person, but decidedly focused on her. Um, if we were trying to do this in prose, it'd be head hopping and it would be goofy. He could not react to her based on how this is set up. Uh, and then just strongly transitions over to her point of view. When she just has an internal monologue. And again, it's just like being able to do that is a thing you can only do in visual mediums, and I think is effective. I mean, this issue's 20 some pages. Um, to be able to bounce between this many characters, you need to be able to have these sort of shorthand, and doing it in prose, you'd be bad. Um, Maelstrom, you said probably tough to hone in on sports when you have three very separate ones. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't teach us basketball and teach us badminton and teach us rhythmic gymnastics. Um, it's not gonna go super well, and that's fine. I imagine if you come here looking for a sports story strictly, it's gonna be a bummer. But yeah, that's a chapter. I'm curious how long it took me to do that, to read through that. And one of the goals of doing this live is I can just chop up what I said into little tidbit, throw it together, uh, cut out the ums and ahs, make it cleaner. Hopefully, who knows if I'm able to pull that off. Um, yeah, cool. I wonder, can I do save, replay, record? Am I able to like snip or like put in a little chapter note like, hey, we did a thing. Oh, can't show that. Concurrent viewers, copy, stream latency, closed captions. Y'all gotta just sit with this. This is why it's a test stream. Did not say it's a test stream though, so. Additional settings, closed captions. Oh, I wish I could. I can't do that. Unlist live replay at one stream. No. Leave it up. Leave it up, leave it up. Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, that's a bummer. I'll have to note like 33 minutes. I'll scrub this later. Oh jeez, I went and just like cancel my live stream. Is it still working? It looks like it. Alright. We're going to just do one more I'm gonna choose what to read next and then throw that out into the world. Um, yeah, I'm liking the series. Uh, it's just good. There's been some moments where you're just like, it's not perfect, but overall, I would recommend it. Let's see, what else to read? What else to read? So a super uh, fun, cool, weird thing that's been going on is like they've been getting other artists to. Can I search for this? Maybe. Let's see what happens. Uh, they've been getting other artists to redo like stories or chapters of One Piece, um, which has been around since forever, and it's kind of there. Let's do this differently. Where the music go? Yeah. Okay. So they've been doing this thing where they've got One Piece and they've got different manga creators, mangaka, like redoing chapters in their own art style, adapting it. Oftentimes, like taking the artist's strength and then lending that to other stories. So most recently, they've been doing a lot of um, the creator who did the Food Wars, uh, the high fan service story food competition. And I chose to describe it in that order for a reason. Uh, have redone some of the chapters where the chef is like making meals, and I think that's like again a really fun way to kind of revisit these stories now that it's been 1,000+ chapters. Um, but there's a new one here, and I'm curious. Oh, I've been pushing W, not Q. Whoops. Q is my insert word. So we got a little one shot here. This is by the creator of, I'm gonna say this wrong, Nisekoi, which is a kind of a romance story from a while back now. Uh, it's been done for like 5+ years, and it looks like they're doing a one shot, maybe covering an entire character arc from One Piece. So somewhere around the first, oh, it is 50 pages. Oh, this is intense. Um, Somewhere in still, I'd say like the first half of One Piece, there's this character Vivi, who joins the crew for a short while, and I mean this is going to probably go into that. I was with him for a while before leaving. I think she's one of the few who like kind of comes on as a more or less crew member and leaves. Someone is going to tell me I'm wrong about that. Um, but I'm curious. I'm doing my thing wrong. Whoops. I don't know if I'm going to read this right now. Um, I might honestly want to go back and reread. That'd be a whole thing. Go back, reread her chapters, and come and do this. But just flipping through it, the art is really cool. It's really cool to see a lot of these characters reimagined. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna do a whole thing about that later. We're gonna worry about that later. Shout out to my one viewer. Any Shonen Jump series you want me to read a chapter of? Anything that we're gonna scroll through. So here's the, jeez, we're gonna recent. Here are the series. I've been trying to start some of the shorter ones, but already the new series have had like 30 chapters, which is wild to me. I have two viewers. One of the viewers is me, so I've got to pull up another screen tracking it. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but it is me. So not gonna read Jujutsu. Could read early Jujutsu. I've wanted to do that for a long time. Yeah, I know I'm boosting my numbers. It's mostly so I can see what the heck it looks like on another screen. Elusive Samurai. I read like the first chapter of, and I was meh on. Undead Unluck. I am not going to read. I just, yeah, no. Um, Sakamoto Days. I feel like I'm gonna end up trashing all of these series that I've read just a chapter of, which is rude. Um, Sakamoto Days remind me a lot of the Way of the House Husband, and I think Way of the House Husband was more thrilling. Although this one does actually, I think, like get into like action violence in the way the other one doesn't. Muscles and Magic, I have no idea what this is. Um, it's Black Clover. I'm not gonna. I thought this was over, but there's a new chapter. I'm not gonna read that one. It is again. Uh, man. Usually when I talk comics on my Twitter and other things, I try to say nice things, and I really just want to be like Black Clover is just bad Naruto. Um, so not that spicy takes coming out here. Uh, this list of things I refuse to read. Look, I will open up a Shonen Jump app, and I'll be like, "Cool, you got a new series," and I will read it. And like, I expect you don't need to like every story, right? Like it is a bundle of stories. You should, hopefully have one or two that you like to read. Great. When I was young, I'd read all the everything they would have in a book because I had the time to. I don't necessarily have the time to, and I've got a lot less patience for some of the things than I did as a child. Uh, Oftentimes, what pushes me away is like fan service that borderlines on assault. It's one thing to be like, here's a character and her boobs are showing, and you're just like, oh jeez. But when they then like just take that a little bit further in the first chapter, I'm just like, yikes. And even sometimes I will like jump forward a few chapters to like, how frequent is this sort of thing, right? I have talked in the past, like I get the sense that like you've got an editor and your editor's like, you've got to sell it in the first chapter, you've got to bring readers in, and this is going to do it, which is highly unfortunate. Um, but I do sometimes give a little bit of like credence to like we're just gonna blow past this and come back to it. I think like World Trigger is one of those where there's like one or two shots of Kitora early on that I'm like feel kind of weird, and then you just never see it again. And I'm like, yeah, I think they were really just pushing you to be like, hey, like make these kids sexy, and I'm just like, ugh. And like, we're I stay away from a lot of things. But some things I've not read. Witch Watch, no idea what that is. Ayakashi Triangle, again, not sure, but like you show this much thigh in a thumbnail, I'm like, I've got some questions. Um, Candy Flurry, I think I read the first chapter. I think I skimmed it. There are some things that I struggle to like, appreciate the art style, and like that's tough. I don't think it's a disservice to either. I think artists go for their own thing. They do their own thing. It's totally fine. Um, but if it jars with me, then I'm just gonna not read it. So this like high school family one, I remember reading and being like, I just couldn't get into the look of it. Um, one story that I started, and I maybe we'll read some of this. One story that I started reading that I've got my doubts about in some fields is this Hunters Guild. Um, yeah, let's pull it up. We'll jump into some Hunters Guild because I think it is the hot new thing. I keep seeing people tweeting about it. But the art I think is really really cool. It is. I mean, okay, so here's our first page, and this person, this lead character, her head is her boobs are bigger than her head, and this is your first panel. Like that, I hope my sigh gets picked up on mic well enough for when I see something like this. Um, somehow this picture looks better proportioned, but like this right here is just this looks like the yeah. Thank you. This looks like we're gonna look it up. Hold me a second. I'm gonna pull. I think I can bring things into this. Oh shoot, what is his name? This is uh I no. There it is, thank God. If I couldn't find it off that search result, I was going to have troubles. Um this is Rob Liefeld's like Captain America, which like the proportions are broken, and like I just did the same photo. Um So to find this, I searched Captain America buff chest, and it worked. And so like I know that these proportions, unfortunately, like the anatomy is probably slightly better in this, but like barely. Um, so yeah. But one thing I like, I mean, in general, let me find just. We'll get a little character shot here. I like this art style a lot. It is wildly clear. You can see the influence of My Hero Academia written all over this. I mean, this is like Deku's look, um, and I've got no problems with that. And some people be like, "Oh my gosh, they're copying." Like that is just what happens. You see influence. You can track a lot of series backwards and see what influenced them. Um, Probably won't be too hard to read some My Hero and look back and be like, it's a little bit of a little bit of Naruto, a little bit of this, but I really like these just the character expressions, eyes, faces. Uh, it is so. I'd be curious to know, is this written by like an old assistant of My Hero Academia, maybe? Um, yeah, I will just. I've read the first chapter already. Essentially, this is a kid. You got a nice younger protagonist. I feel like we're missing these. I feel like protagonists are aging up a little bit. A younger protagonist who wants to take care of his village. There are werewolves. There's a werewolf in the village, or there's a werewolf who's been eating villagers. We talk a little bit about hunters. We've got this mayor character who has decided to hire someone from the Hunters Guild, and they go, "Oh my gosh, it's so expensive. The hunters, they rob you blind of your money um, to keep you safe, and it's like not even fair." And so then the Hunters Guild sends um, this character Grim, which I think Grim is just a great name. Uh, I, I feel like you don't. What's the word I'm looking for? You get a lot of homage in character names in manga that I'm just a fan of. Like, why not? You're doing a Red Hood monsters hunter like the Brothers Grimm thing. Name your character Grim. Cool, great. So they send this little girl to from the Hunters Guild, and you're like, oh, what's going on there? And again, unfortunately, knowing that first page, I'm like, I've got some thoughts about where this is going with her. And so they talk about things and werewolves and working for free. A lot of world building dialogue. I didn't feel skimming through these pages right now. I'm seeing it like how much of this is text, but I didn't feel slow when I was reading it. Uh, this is fascinating. Um, so when manga comes out in the U.S., I wonder if where's some other sound effects? Give me some sound effects. Okay, so uh, in Shonen Jump, manga will come out and will have its original Japanese sound effects in it. So you have this dun in the background highlighted. Honestly, hard to read. I miss them a lot. It's an unfortunate thing, but I think it's really fun to see just like the artist's original flair in them. Later, when they get bound together in a volume, they will get edited and look. Uh, oh, here's some more sound effects in the upper right corner here. Whoop. They'll get bound together and edited, and so the sound effects match the word. I should be able to get this really quick. Let's we're gonna pull it up in a second. But what's interesting here, and I guess this is in a text bubble, so that's part of it. But this is like a font, and at first I was like, oh, it's just a fancy font, but these letters are all different. So someone like designed this, which is kind of rare, unless that's what it is in the original. But I would doubt that. Anyway, I like when they can match it up. It looks cool that way. All right, what is a series which if we go when I think it's from the early World Triggers, we'll do this. I shouldn't be jumping around too much, but here I am. I think they had it edited first. So yeah, way back when they would edit. Yeah, okay, so give me a better sound effect. Yeah. So they have visually removed the Japanese sound effect, added it in English, done some added effects to it to try to probably match the original style. And like if you consider like the grading in the background, it's totally fine. So I don't, I don't know how they do it so well, but it's a really impressive. Um, that said, I'm more a fan of seeing the original art because I think it's really cool. And depending on the series, it can get really interesting. So like My Hero uses English sound effects frequently, and so they stand out in comparison to Japanese sound effects, but less so when they're all translated. So it creates some, I think, unintended effects. Um, but yeah, I just was realizing that was cool. Another great thing about being able to do this live and then trimming this down. Oh, I only have one viewer. Oh, did I lose? Did I lose you, Shaylee? No. Weird. Who knows what's going on? Not that it should matter, but it is what it is. Oh, yeah, it's when I did participants it shows too, so maybe it's filtered it out finally. Got smart, got wise. Um, Another thing about doing this live is I can just cut out these random these random tangents. I figure I don't know, man. It got wise to the fact that I was not trying to insult you. You should you should subscribe, I think, or follow. See what happens when you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to see if it's working. If it isn't, I'm gonna be really sad. Also, if you don't want to subscribe, like I don't want to push you into it, but like it'd be cool. You did. Oh, these a while ago? Oh no. These widgets are not doing what they should do. Alert box. Alert box. Well, that's a bummer. It's a whole fancy thing with it. Okay, I'm gonna take this tangent longer than I should. Too bad. Properties. Um. Oh. Donation, chat, subscribers. Why is it not? What a bummer. I wonder if it doesn't work with Facebook, if it's like a Twitch thing only. Oh, is it test? It's not working. Oh, that didn't. Well, that was like a. uh, well, I'm super bummed. I have to figure that out. I got a fancy. I spent time on alerts for nothing. All right. Maybe only donations work on YouTube. John. Yeah. If I test it, I can't even do it. Well, that's what that looks like. Thanks for subscribing. Sorry. My thing is sad. All right. We're going to jump back into this. We're going to at least talk about one more comic before we're done for the night. So yeah, standard affair. They're off to look for the werewolf together, talk about werewolves and stuff. She shows off this. I mean, like this is cool. This is a little. We've got little title hunter's tools. We got a little hound's muzzle. It's like a shotgun with a dog's like mouth on it, mouth and nose. But it can smell things, so it like has the scent. It tracks scents, and then also speaks to you about them. And I'm just like, that's just clever, fun, weird stuff. Um, so that's what's like I think kind of excites me about the series is like you very much have a world, right? We've got this hunters guild. We know that they are really talented. We know that they go around like challenging things. They send this little girl, and you're like, that's that's unexpected. Um, oh, here's one of those things where it's like the Japanese sound effects here just do so much. This is a door being kicked open, right? And like these sharp angles all kind of look like they're being flown out through the door, like that's behind. That's just great. Of course, I see that, and I don't have the onomatopoeia in my head to go bam when it's tiny in the corner. And when they translate this, it'll probably say bam, but like, will they be able to get like these are all rectangles? Like you can't even if sharp edges, like the bam is going to look a little weird. Right. So that's tough. It's not a job I envy, and I think they do a damn good job of it. But it's one of those things where it's like I wish, honestly, I just wish I spoke Japanese and I could appreciate that for what it was. Um, but I still think it's cool. But yeah, so surprise, surprise, there's an old woman earlier in the story I'm spoiling this for anyone who's spoiler alert. Old woman early in the story, and immediately when she's like the werewolf's in town, I'm like, it's this old lady who got a moment in the book. Like she's definitely her. She's hanging out in this doorway. I gotta zoom in more here. Hanging out in this doorway. Yeah, you're a werewolf. Um, and in this, oh man, I'm talking about too many things at once. Um, he, we know the werewolf has been in this room, but we can't see them. Like we were tracked it down to the space, but it's clearly not Granny. And she says, "Oh, the werewolf jumped out the window," and he's like, "Wait a second, there's these spiderwebs there." So you got a smart protagonist. He catches something like that's a good just character trait. Um, and like, I mean, here's a good tense page. Granny, you sure the werewolf went through the window? Of course. And it's like, okay, well, you just said yes. And now it's like this emotion on his face, this nervousness, this doubt. Um, and while he's feeling that way, our hunter is like getting ready because she's made the connection. Um, Same face, closer, like where the werewolf? It's just good tension. That's yeah, I'm digging the series so far. And here is like a page turn. This is your werewolf. Uh, Terrifying. You have a lot of every image of the werewolf earlier in the book is your like stereotypical Brothers Grimm wolf werewolf, and this is like this weird. It's got her face. It's got this like triple mouth thing. Or I guess those are maybe ears. I don't know. It looks like a mouth to me. Um, yeah, it's multiple legs. Like, uh, very creepy. And then, of course, here's surprising no one. She is transformed into a full-grown woman. Sure. There's the sigh again. Um, it is what it is. What it is. But we go from this creepy thing to I think this. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. Like the fact that you're like, what exactly am I looking at? Like there's traits, right? You know you see her mouth and her other eye and maybe her eye open and some of her hair, but that's a tongue and like you're like oh like it's got four legs. Oh no, it's got at least five legs. How many like there's yeah, it's wildly creepy. Um, is there what weird about the she like transforms into an old yeah I don't they haven't explained it yet. I doubt there's a good explanation, frankly. Um, just start her that way. I don't. Maybe she's young. It's because whichever age you throw her in later, like I don't like it. It makes me. It's weird. Um, and, back to horror. uh, so we've got the thing, and then it's like head closes on itself. So now it's like this puppy, but also terrifying. Like you still get the multiple limbs and the weird tongue, but like it's like wrapped itself. Um, yeah, I don't. That is probably the answer. To verbalize this for any edits later. Scared that it is so she can have a romantic storyline with the main character and still be hot. Like yeah, it's definitely like a weird combo where it's like now they're the same age, but also I don't. But back to the better stuff. But back to what compels me about the story. Look at this thing. Like these goofy eyes are kind of silly, but like in the whole, it's some good monster creepiness. Um, she throws like a little smoke bomb on it. There's some like more puzzles and riddles, and I mean he's got this like attachment to the mayor character who's now dead, and it's sad, and so like, um, I think does she do they get away? Yeah, they get away, and then he feels sad, and then she's like, no, you still like you got to do things, but um, yada yada yada, and then she gets grabbed. Um, There's a good old. I'll read one line here. Goodness, why are my hands so large? You ask. All the better to grab you. And I think like just that turn of that phrase is really good. There's a few of those. And then we get this full on just like monster thing. It's just it's creepy. Um, and she does get eaten, but then I think like, he blows it up from the inside, and he also like tries to attack it. There's a there's some plot. Um, it's good. It's good creepiness. Um, I mean, just like again, I really dig the art in this. Look at this mayor. We love this man. It's great. Um, all your shonen characters, you should be able to say what they want to do in like a sentence. I'll protect with all my strength. Done. There you go. He wants to protect people. Easy. No more, no less. And then he chops it in half. There's the same sound effect, like yai. I wonder if this is originally like this. I would be very curious to see this in Japanese and see what is or isn't the same. Oh, there's another one, like yai. Yeah, Or they're just getting really good with the creative lettering. Oh, these ones do look maybe the same, just a little bit edited. I don't know. Meanwhile, our hunter had like left a bomb in a basket inside the wolf, which is, you know, good little red hood thing. Um, I'm showing too many pages in a row. Whoops. This panel again, proportions, bodies, all that aside. I think it's a good demonstration of like your pose is your character, your like angle is your character, and so like he is falling apart away from this explosion, and then of course just like she's acting cool. It's all it's business. Um, and again, the sound effects amazing, great stuff. So this is the story. Uh, yeah, it does look very. I mean, like right, like that's yeah, yep. It is what it is. What it is. Um, I'm gonna skip. I think I read chapter 2. I'm gonna try to skim this. Ooh, also these colors. This is just a great color page. You never see things this color. I love it. Uh, I, okay. We've got 2 more werewolves we see. I'm not going to spend too long on this. There's just 2 other werewolves who come into the town afterwards, but they have fun character designs also. You've got this like blobby one and this like creepy one, and of course, you know, it contributes a little bit to their character type. Um, I mean, look at this. Someone's like, "There's a werewolf outside." You're like, "Oh, cool, it's gonna be a wolf." And this thing shows up. No, no, I no. It's cute and terrifying. Oof. Oh, I just saw it was a little sheep. It's chasing this little sheep. Oh, it's got a little sheep. It's a little sheep's dead. All right. Anyhow, they show up. It's a whole thing. She grabs a bell from a bell tower and whacks one, and that's just super fun. And then the like secret is I'm gonna stop spoiling these things. People can read this stuff. Um, and that's the chapter. They go back to the same town and kill off 2 more werewolves, and it goes from there. All right. Um, let me. Oh, maybe the story didn't finish. Oh, I just read ahead, and that was a delightful line. There's just things in this that look great. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna jump in with things, and this is probably gonna be the last thing I'm gonna read. Um, I'm gonna tweet briefly about it. Shout out to the like Lofi Girl music team channel group. I don't know really know. It's like a collective. They just let you use their music for free and encourage you to like have it on monetized videos and stuff. All you gotta do is just credit them, so it's like credited in my description, and I'll throw them a little shout out. But like, it's nice to just have background music and not have to worry about it, and have it be like really chill, really good. Just I don't know, lo-fi beats, great stuff. Thanks. for cease and desist from Shonen Jump, and I'll be like, I'm sorry. Please let me have this. All right, diving into this. I kind of, I kind of like this. So there's a part in the first chapter or like second chapter where she like pulls him up by his collar, and of course she's like 5 feet taller than him, and he grabs her collar here, and I don't know if they're on a hill or if he jumped. We don't see their feet. I don't. Maybe they are on a hill. They are on a hill, but in the other direction. That doesn't. Again, I don't really care. Like these are the sort of things I'm not gonna like. Oh wow, how dare they? I just think it's who cares and just pull off the emotion you need. And so you like. Yeah, she pulls him off and drops him. Still, it's very silly. I like he jumps up and then grabs her collar and somehow is above her, and that's great. Very silly. So this is the thing I read ahead, which I think is great. The rifle is called a Chekhov series. I mean, like it's the sort of thing that you write that for adults, and you're like, okay, but like you're writing this for like teenagers and younger kids. Like teach them this stuff. Like hide these things in there so that they embarrassingly bring it up in English class later. Um, Definitely have no explanation of that. But like we know what's gonna happen to this now. Like if it wasn't, although if this thing can't fire or like breaks down or is not shot, you've written yourself that lampshade. It's fantastic. Um, yeah, I want to finish this chapter now because of this. I need to see this gun. I need to see what happens with this gun. Okay. Other small detail. Before she like changed size, there was like a click click on something on her leg, and seeing this, I see a little clock, and I'm wondering if she's got like a little time thing on it. So the gross body stuff aside, at least it looks like her power has like a time limit or limiter, and so again, rules are great. Curious to see what the rule is. Curiosity pervades. We're given a brief. Uh, might be worth explaining what Chekhov's gun is. Yeah. If you don't know, Chekhov's gun is a like literary rule trope, whatever, from the playwright Anton. I'm looking over at my moderator. In 3 seconds, she'll hear me struggle and say this. Yeah, okay. So the long delay that has, I thought it was supposed to be like a 5 second delay. Anyhow, playwright Chekhov essentially says if you have a gun on stage in your first scene or in your first act, it must go off in the third act or by the third act, right? It's everything in your story needs to have a purpose. Um, do not, and it's not necessarily about guns. It's very much just like lay your traps early. Set all those things up. I've gotten confirmation is it indeed Anton Chekhov. But yeah, so like by naming this gun, a Chekhov series gun, um, it would imply that it goes off. But I think it also kind of gets to subvert it by saying we expect this gun to go off. So now what will happen? And so who knows? Also, of course, we get a little hey, this gun can kill werewolves, your other one can't, things like that. And we even get a little Men in Black. This thing's got a bit of a mean kick, so heads up. Although it's not the tiny gun there, so not subverting that this time. It looks like I forgot. I assumed that this werewolf was killed in the last chapter, so I am gonna have to spoil it a little bit. Um, there are two werewolves. One is outside wreaking havoc. Everyone else gathers inside a barn, and so the other werewolf is hiding in human form inside the barn. And of course, our main character, Valau, it recognizes him right away because he knows everyone in his town, and he's like, yo, you're the werewolf, and he's like, ah, you got me. Literally, that's uh, you got me in the Walter White uh, best way to read that. Um, oh, look at this. Look at how creepy that is. The like half transition, and considering that you like read things right to like it's you're seeing it. Oh, what a good neck twist. Ugh. Again, great. I don't know if I call. I mean, I get definitely horror, but just like the monster creation in this is very solid. And if you're gonna, hunt monsters, you gotta be able to do that. Now this is fascinating. Oh, I love this. We're talking about Chekhov's gun here. Werewolf boy. I have some tools here. Werewolf boy. Well, that kind of shows up. I don't actually like that. Never mind. Ignore it. It's about to hit him. He pulls the trigger. Like we see this like mid-action shot. We get a page turn. I mean, so there's two kind of page turns, right? What we're initiating. So we're like, okay, what's going to happen? We're anticipating it, and then the other side page turn is what we're the result. Um, and we get this explosion, and so you're like, oh, did he shoot it? And then we see him on the ground, and this guy like standing. So it's the gun did not fire, but again, we're waiting. We're waiting for this gun. It's great. It's great. Uh, the one werewolf hurts the other werewolf. Oh, okay. This is great. So, chapter one, his innate trait is I have to protect people, and literally these werewolf brothers, the one werewolf is about to attack the other one. I, this is just good shonen character. So literally, evil mean werewolf holds up rock, about to crash it down on this other werewolf, and his like gut reaction is to save this other werewolf, to protect someone. Like moments ago, he wasn't willing to shoot; he wanted to lead it away, and that draws him to action. And like, look, you can't write better character moments than that. Little Peanut. I do like again a little moment of comedy here as the other werewolf's like, "You about to shoot me, kid?" It's great. Oh man, y'all gotta read this chapter. I'm not gonna go page by page, but we just got a breakdown of like. I was surprised when we fought a werewolf in chapter one. I was like, are we gonna fight werewolves in every chapter? But they're giving us a little bit of like magic system rules and how they work. And like you go from you can't shoot one to, and so first of all, some more great creepy art, werewolf face thing. And then he's essentially a Super Saiyan and talking about how Saiyans, when they get hurt, their muscles grow back and their muscles grow back stronger and the fibers rip. And so it just talking about all of this. It's some kind of body horror stuff, and then finishes by saying, one, you can become this essentially Hulk werewolf, which again, oh, I hate how muscular it is. Um, and then he just goes ahead, this cocky werewolf, to talk about how you kill a werewolf is you grab its heart, and he grabs his little brother's heart, and like this little this little sad werewolf. Are you kidding me? It's so cute now, and then it's killed. I guess you give us those cute ones so that you can kind of sympathize with them. Um, ooh, look, I'm not gonna keep reading the series. Weird body stuff aside, I think there's just enough here to pull me in. Uh, so like this page here, this page turn, I love um, just the shonen close up. The like, it is your lead character. They have their strongest emotion. Their page is their head is the size of the page, and so like we look at this main character. Actually, the art has shifted a bit, so maybe this is less true from that first chapter, which is always going to be a little bit more polished. But just this feels a little bit raw, a little bit sketchier compared to like the really thick detailed lines we had in the chapter one. And they might come back and redo some of this art. Hard to say, but I actually like the effect of this. Just really gets us into the character. But yeah, just, he sees that happen, and of course it drives him up. Um, mm. Got our next little tool, little clamshell gas canisters. I don't know why they're clams, but hey. Again, hooks on hooks on hooks. Um, how do you stand out in a world of 100 action series and similar main characters? And he gets his advice of give up on the righteous anger nonsense. It serves no purpose. Um, you're not a hero, not concerned about justice. A hunt is a battle of wits between you and your prey. Like whether or not that's true, whether or not that's what the series does, if you like, all right, we're gonna let me finish the chapter. And I'm gonna come back to this in like 13 seconds. All right, so um, started talking about this series in terms of art reference, right? And like, look, this character is Midoriya to a T. It is the same structure, face. We get a lot of that. Some of the environments, of course, are different, and some of the other art in the mix is different, but we've very similar character model archetypes. Um, but if we like look at the long history of Shonen series and like action series and hero series and whatever he wants to do, I mean, his main purpose, I want to protect people, is pretty typical common standard. Um, but this idea that she says here, give up on that righteous anger nonsense. It serves no purpose now. I mean, like that. I think fuels a lot of series. Um, and you go back in the history of Shonen series, you look at something like Dragon Ball Z, where like Goku is nothing but righteous anger. He also wants to protect his friends, but he just gets mad, right? Like that is his gut reaction. Um, and I think it works for a long time, right? And like Dragon Ball Z is still Dragon Ball Super is now running. It's doing its own thing. I haven't read it in a while, but who knows? Um, but like we need more and more to stand out. You need a little bit something more on top of it. You need a little bit more nuance to it. I think one of the things I really like about Jujutsu Kaisen, there's that scene where he's fighting the puppet, and the teacher's like, why do you want to? Sounds like antagonist provocation. Maybe. I think there'll be a balance to it, but I think these next few pages. I don't have the full text up, um, but she's saying, it's. I think he'll still want to protect, but it's the ways in which he protects is kind of the thing. Um, Maybe if I'm reading what you're saying right, your antagonist provocation. I mean, certainly the werewolf is trying to get him to be mad. If that's what you meant. If you're saying her, I'm not sure if I follow, but that could just be a text thing. Um, thank you for the transition. There's a whole chapter that he's like fighting the principal who has the puppet, and the principal's like, why do you want to come to school? And just keeps beating the crap out of him, again and again and again until he kind of like gets to his core purpose, which is like, you know, I I want to save people because my grandpa told me to. No, that's not a good enough reason. I want to save people because it's the right thing to do. No, that's not a good enough reason. Um, I, don't want to live with regrets. No, that's not a good enough reason. But you're getting close, and it like ends with this sort of principle of, um, when I die, the moment I die, I don't want to feel bad about like. It's like I don't want to kind of like I don't want to die with regrets kind of thing. Like it's a very selfish, if I've died and I haven't done enough, I'm going to hate myself for it. And so like it just again a little bit of something extra on top of that principle because at the end of the day it is an action manga. It's gonna have whatever depth it's gonna have. Um, but I just like I like that we're mixing these up a little bit in the last few years. Um, so this thing being, hey, you can't just run in angry. Um, you've gotta think through it. Um, Staying calm and think, observe your surroundings. Uh, Now is the moment you become a hunter. I just like that a little shift on this. Um, I am gonna call it here. This is the end of it. I haven't seen this gun go off. Which, look, you got a weekly comic. You want me to come back next week? I want to see that gun go off. I will say I am chapter 3 of like there's like 8. There's not a lot. It's still pretty new. Chapter 8. So I'm in the locked section. I should do is do a night and just read these all live, um, and then if I still like it, keep going. I'll probably give it to at least chapter 5 and then make the judgment call again. Uh, and then I can read it when it comes out weekly, and I feel like that's a little bit more impact. But yeah, I like the world. I love the art. I think the tools are cool. I think the monsters are perfect. I think the young girl who turns into an old woman so she can be sexy is problematic. And I look forward to see what bullshit excuse they have for that. Fine. But yeah, I'll definitely read more. It's that is truly, I think, the compromise of reading a lot of popular manga, and it's tough. We don't in the U.S. English translated manga. We don't get a full picture of what's out there. Culture stuff, all that aside, differences like what gets filtered through, what gets brought across. There's always gonna be some lenses attached to that, so it's hard to be like this is. It's hard to make judgment calls, but this is what it all is, or this was not what it all isn't. Um, but it's definitely a thing where it's like I definitely have to hold my tongue when I read a lot of manga sometimes, and it's unfortunate. Which is why I like reading things like Blue Box. I'm like, this is nice. Look at this respectful conversation we're having. Um, how great. And surprise, surprise, you can still show your characters being like cute. I don't know. Uh, but yeah. Thank you, Maelstrom, my mod, and wife who is in the other room. Um, you had no choice but to watch this. That's not true. That's oh god, like that's no. Thank you for being open to watching this and talking along. God. Jeez, what a rough way to end that entire rant. And this is live, and I'm gonna keep this video up. It sounded like you said, "Oh no, Jesus Christ." Waifu. Wife who? Yeah, I'm glad that you're focusing on that and not the fact that it sounded like I'm. It was. You've got no other option. Yeah. Also embarrassing though, still. But shout out again to Lofi Girl, Music Magic. Shout out to some Shonen Jump. Again, it is baffling to me that these comics are free. Please elt me out the internet, please. Yeet me out. You're gonna have to review that one. Um, it is insane to me that Viz puts out free chapters weekly of people's favorite series, and people don't talk about it. And people read fan translations or like illegal translations, and I'm like, are you kidding me? They're just giving it to you. That's my sign off. It's a very Minnesota goodbye sign off. Until next time, I promise no weekly schedule. Goodbye.